I'll tell you the worst thing that's happened to me if you tell me the worst thing you've done.
Sure, you go first.
I got a French kiss by a woman who was in the scene. She was playing my wife. I was reading with her, and she was dying of cancer. And nowhere in the script did it say that she was supposed to kiss me. But I was so embarrassed, and I didn't know what to do, so I just let it happen because she was like a working actress, and I didn't want to like make her feel uncomfortable. This was before Me Too. So she kissed me. I had someone pull a knife on me up to my throat. I had someone light a joint in front of me. I had someone reach into my pants behind my belt buckle and pull me out of my chair.
What?
That's why I don't read with people anymore.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Wesam's World. Thank you for tuning in live. If you're listening on Adobe Radio, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific time. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And if you're listening on Spotify, thank you for tuning in. Super excited for today's guest. I'm going to introduce him here in a little bit. This guest has been rescheduled, I think, 10 times, maybe 11, 12. I'm not sure. However, if I ever want to book a job, I just got to go, you know what? We got to book this guy. I'm really excited to talk shop with him today because if you're a fan of any of the CW shows, the superhero shows, this will be a great behind-the-scenes look on the casting process for those shows. If you're an actor or anybody in the industry, this is going to be super valuable to you. I'm so thrilled to talk shop with someone on the other side of one of the most crucial points in this business, and that's the casting process. My guest today is David Rapaport. I've been in his office multiple times. He's cast numerous shows, and I'm just going to name a few of his most notable: The Flash, Arrow, Riverdale, You, Supergirl, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Batwoman, and the list literally goes on and on and on. We're going to talk briefly about the general casting process, what it's like, and then we're going to delve more deeper into each point, into what he looks for when he's casting roles with actors, pet peeves, bad audition stories. We're going to run the gambit, and oh my gosh, I love these kind of talks because they help me become a better actor. They help our listeners who are actors become better actors. And they're super fun for people who are not in the industry to understand really how competitive this business is and the creative process from other individuals who are behind the scenes stuff that honestly don't get enough recognition in this business. So we're going to come back after the break with David Rapaport. Well, thank you for being so patient, too.
Yeah.
I always felt bad whenever I'd be like, oh, my God, we have to tell David, we have to reschedule.
Because you booked something. That's a great reason to cancel.
It is.
You can always cancel on me if you book something.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the entire casting process and give people an overview of it. Mm-hmm. But I got to say, you're one of my favorite casting offices to go into because not only you guys are very warm, but also you guys got the best readers as well. So I appreciate you guys.
We appreciate you. I mean, we want to make you feel comfortable and feel safe. And you are always so prepared and kind. And like you give us your best. You make us look good. Mm-hmm. So we're always happy to have you in.
Oh, my gosh. You're welcome.
And we tend to use actors as readers, which is probably why you're giving me that feedback. I'm assuming you've read with maybe even some actors that you know or recognize or worked with before or something. A lot of actors who we've hired come back and are readers in our office, which is great. I think an actor really needs and appreciates having another reader to work opposite of as opposed to reading with me. I'll do pre-reads, but if it's a producer session, you'll read with an actor or an associate who was an actor.
How did you even get into this? Because I saw on your IMDb you were a casting associate in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Don't age me.
Oh, my God. No. Well, you worked on like The Matrix Reloaded, right?
Yes,
one of them.
yes.
And the video game, which
and
I played.
Revolutions and Enter the Matrix. And I did an internship for Mally Finn, who was the biggest casting director of her time. She did Titanic and LA Confidential and The Matrix and 8 Mile. And I interned with her for 3 months. I got hired as an assistant, which is the next step up, and then stayed with her and became an associate, which is the next step up above assistant before you become a casting director. And I worked with her for about 5.5 years, and I learned everything from her. And it was incredible. And being able to work on those movies was just incredible. It was a real eye-opening experience.
I love hearing stories like that where there's the mentor and mentee experience. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I think that's so critical, especially in our field, because there's no guidebook on how to succeed.
I went to Emerson College back in Boston, and we had an internship program where we would go and we would do internships for credit. But it's still rare that you find someone who becomes your mentor and becomes a lifelong, career-long mentor, and that's what Mally Finn was for me. Mally actually started as a teacher in Michigan, a theater teacher. And she moved out here to California, I want to say, I don't remember the year, but it was before I got out here. And with her husband, who got a job at Cal State Fullerton teaching theater. And she thought, you know what, I'm going to sort of restart my career, and I'm going to intern in something that interests me. So she interned for Lynn Stallmaster, who was a huge casting director of his time, and ended up making her own, connections and relationships, and became the biggest casting director of her time. And she, being a teacher, she really had the time and the patience to sit down with me and both explain to me sort of her creative passion, her vision, her the way that she did her job, and also allowed me to kind of find my voice and find my own opinions and ask me why I like certain actors or certain performances. And it really shaped who I was, both as a person and as a casting director. I was so lucky to have her, and she was so hands-on and allowed me to do every part of the job. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's such a specific skill to develop and train, is the eye for talent and real, like something special in an artist. Do you think, is that something you develop, or is that something that you have to have an instinctual thing?
Yes. I think everyone has it in them. I think anyone that's ever seen a movie or a TV show and has noticed someone and said, oh my God, that person's special, or that person's going to be a star, I want to follow their career. I think we all have that in us, and that's who I was growing up. I devoured TV and films, and I would see someone and think, oh my God, I want to see what they're going to do next, or I hope they become a big star, and I would kind of root for them, not knowing them personally, and in some ways feeling like I had discovered them, even though clearly they had gone through like the Hollywood, thing before me, if they were already on screen. But it does take a little bit of fine tuning to learn how to be a casting director, obviously, and how to both trust your instinct, to voice your instinct and opinions, and to help guide a project, because it's not necessarily about you. You're more of a liaison between a studio, producer, network, director, writer, and actors and agents and managers. And so you're working with all these people, and technically I'm hired, let's say, by a director to help find their vision. So I'm almost like a matchmaker for a director who may have a certain idea or tone or style that may be different from yours or yours or yours. And it's my job to kind of help understand that and articulate that to agents and managers, to actors, and then help navigate that process so they get exactly what their vision is, if that makes sense.
Yes. Okay. So let's dive into that process, because I had a great acting program in college. I went to the University of Tulsa, but they didn't teach me what the casting process is like, all the behind the scenes stuff, all the stuff I had to learn trial by fire. And so that's what I try to impart on my circle of friends whenever I experience something like, oh, by the way, when I'm working on this is what happens. So watch out for this, or make sure you do this in case something else happens. So let's go from beginning to end. I have the best luck with mic stands on this show. It's like an ongoing joke. Let's go from beginning to end on what the casting process is like. So from the very beginning, whenever I guess the director or producers reach out to you, correct?
Yeah, actually, so I'm hopefully starting this process tomorrow on a new project where I'm meeting on a project, which very much like an actor, I go in with a book of ideas, and I kind of say, this is how I see these characters. They sent me a script in advance, and I'm going to meet, or like, I guess you could say audition for a project. So I'm so nervous right now. I'm feeling your anxiety. And what I always tell actors, and someone told this to me today too, is it's not necessarily about the win. It's not about getting the job. It's about the journey and playing the game. And I know how to play that game the way that you know how to play that game. You know how to go in and audition for a role. I know how to talk casting. So I'm hoping they like me. And it's kind of like up to the gods, because really there's so many people that make that decision. So basically, I get a call from a producer or a studio, and they say, we want you to meet on this project. They send me a script. I do a breakdown of all the characters, which is basically like a short summary of or description of each character. And I walk into a meeting and I say, this is how I see it. How do you see it? And we start a conversation. And if there's a connection, I get hired to be their casting director. And then I start pulling sides and auditioning actors and making lists and reading with actors and hiring actors to read with other actors.
Right.
And doing producer-director sessions, and then navigating that process all the way through studio and network tests, and then hiring those actors and negotiating their deals. So it's for a pilot, for example, it could be a 10-week, 15-week process. For a feature, probably the same, maybe a little bit longer. An episodic, I sometimes have maybe 3 days to cast an episode. It depends. Hopefully I have 8 to 10, but more often than not, I have 3 days. So it's doing all of that, in a very short amount of time, over and over and over again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to break down there.
Okay. Yeah.
The process itself is overwhelming from my perspective, because of the amount of submissions you guys get for each role. So what's that sifting process, first and foremost? So for the people listening who don't know what that's like, a lot of times actors without agents will just see a breakdown on Actors Access or LA Casting Networks, and they'll be like, oh, I kind of fit for this, and they'll submit. And so there are thousands and thousands and thousands for that one role. And then there are special breakdowns that only agents and managers get, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And then those agents and managers will submit, but sometimes they'll give you guys a call or an email and be like, hey, Wesam Keisha's so handsome. You gotta see him. And then you'll be like, sure.
I'm not laughing, you're laughing, by the way.
So, so how do you sift through all of that?
I get on average, I would say, anywhere from 2,500 to 3,500 submissions per role. And I could be working at let's say 2 to 20 roles at a time. It really depends on how many shows I'm doing. I can go through that in about an hour, only because I've been doing this for almost 20 years. It's almost like, it's similar, I think, to like a Tinder profile, where you get a picture, a resume, and demo reel on a person.
Right.
And, for a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, it is kind of the CW stuff, for example, right, is very kind of like look based. I'm looking for a very specific kind of look or a type of person. And so I'm going through the pictures very quickly first. I'll narrow those down. I'll look at the resumes and say, this person has experience, this person doesn't. This is a bigger role. I need someone with experience. I'll get rid of those people. Then I'll start watching the demo reels of the people that I haven't seen before. And I will look very quickly and trust my gut reaction. Is this someone that seems right or exciting, or is going to come in and make a fool of me or something? Yeah. And it's really just making those kind of split-second decisions within that hour for about, like I said, 2,500 submissions. I will say at this point, because I've done it for so long, I know so many of the faces and the names that I'm able to say, I know this person, they're not right, or I know this person, they'd be great for it. And I separate those people. I narrow it down usually from the 2,500 to about, let's say, 50 or so, maybe more since COVID because of self-tapes. So let's say I have 50 to 100 people then self-tape based on my choices. They send in their tapes within 3 days, give or take. I watch every single tape myself. I guarantee you that, I promise. I don't watch the entire tape, but I watch every single tape. And I narrow it down to about 15 to 20 people that I then send to the producers for their response or feedback. And based on their feedback, I either go back and do that process all over again, or I go back and look at the tapes and say, okay, let me see who I missed, and let me try to match what they're looking for with what I have, and go from there.
Wow. That is impressive.
It's you know what? It's the only way to do it, I think.
Yeah.
But
you've been doing it for so long, so it's like a muscle in there.
It is like a muscle. And I think with COVID, because I can watch tapes so quickly, because I trust my instincts, I can go through like 700 tapes in a day, like auditions in a day. It's a lot. Yeah. But if we were in the office, I'd maybe see 25 people in person in a day. So this is also allowing me to just see more people and learn about more talent that's out there. So in some ways I'm kind of liking it.
Right.
But I do miss being in the room. I miss working with the actors.
I miss that too.
You do?
Yeah, big time. Because sometimes I have a question.
Yeah.
Just like a one-line question, which might change everything else in the thing. And I'm like,
totally.
Do I just give him 2 takes or do I do this? And I'm like, I'm just going to go with my instinct on this. And sometimes I do give 2 takes. And yeah, it's just, I like that relationship with the casting director because I think for the most part, I always feel safe in there. I mean, your office is like that as well. I never feel like, oh, they're out to get me.
No,
because, and I know that sounds crazy, but the actor's mind, especially when they're starting out, it's very stressful. You're like, oh my gosh, why am I in here? You start doubting yourself. All this negativity goes through your mind.
Yeah.
But I think that something that's helped me overcome that is coming in prepared. Really practicing my craft on a more consistent basis has done away with all that negativity in my mind.
I think that's exactly what you should do. And I also, like you said, when you like working with the casting directors like working with actors. They want them to do well. We want to cast this project and move on to the next one. we want you to succeed. It only makes us look good, selfishly. It is a process, and it's uncomfortable, and it's scary, and you have to be very vulnerable to go in there and do something as crazy as cry or fall in love with a random stranger in a room while there's a camera watching you. Yeah. And then you shake hands and walk out, and that's it. It is so bizarre, but it is set up to for you to succeed. And again, it's someone said this to me before, and it makes so much sense. Like, it's not about the job at hand. Ever. You're never just auditioning for the job at hand. Like, when you come in to see me, or for example, there have been people that have been in to see me for years and years and years, and I have never cast them, not because I don't like them, but just because they haven't been right for something. And then at a certain point, I'm going through my books, my list, what have you, and that perfect role comes along, and all of a sudden, like, I remember I read that person, 15 times. I know their range. I can speak to their talent. They're always on time. They're always prepared. They're always kind. Let's give them a shot here, and then they get that role. So it's, I'm thinking of every actor that comes in as like a career actor. Like, I don't think this is the one time I'm going to see them. I'm assuming I'm going to see them multiple times. That's how I got my first big break, actually, was I had a general meeting at Warner Brothers. Like, a lot of actors have general meetings. And I went in with casting, and it was the best meeting I thought I'd ever had. And I didn't hear from them for 2 years. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do? Like, if that was the best meeting I ever had, I'm really screwed. And but the one call they made to me was on Gossip Girl, and that was what like put me on the map. So it's a matter of like, you keep going and keep pushing and keep trying, and being prepared. Yeah. Number one. Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, for demo reels, I'd love to get your input. What do you like in them? Do you like something that's consistent, like just one good scene, or a self-tape from another project, or do you like little clips of a bunch of different stuff?
I'll tell you what I don't like.
Please.
I don't like the main title sequence that lasts for a minute. It drives me crazy just to get to the person's name, and there's like all these fancy graphics. I want to get like right to the meat of it. I want to get to the scene. I personally prefer. Am I yelling, by the way, or is this?
No, you're good. You're so angry.
It sounds so loud to me.
Oh, we can turn it down.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I just didn't want to come off too angry. I personally prefer like multiple scenes, and I like to know which scenes are on the demo reel, because if I'm casting, let's say, a drama, I'd rather jump to whatever your drama credits are, as opposed to having to sit through like all the comedy stuff to get to the drama. Again, I don't want to speak for every casting director. Just for me personally, I prefer to be able to kind of pick and choose which clips I'm watching. So sometimes I'll get what looks like almost like a resume, and I can click on each link that says like, this is Grey's Anatomy or something, and I can watch that demo. What I will say is, I don't care if you have demo or self-tapes. I just want to see you. I want to see you work. So if you don't have demo, if you haven't worked on TV before, that's fine. I'm happy to watch self-tapes. I'm happy to just kind of get a sense of who you are. I tend to cast a lot of like younger, more novice actors based on the stuff that I do and the networks I work for. So I'm more open to seeing people that don't have demo reels, that just have, good self-tapes.
Yeah. What distinguishes whenever an actor comes in or you see a self-tape immediately off the bat where you're like, this person's green, or this person obviously is unprepared, versus someone who's a professional?
On a self-tape?
Yeah, on a self-tape.
there's a comfort level. It's hard to describe, but I imagine like when you go and you see like your favorite performer, let's say at the Hollywood Bowl, because I can't think of any other place right now.
Right.
But there's an ease, there's a confidence, there's a playfulness about those people because they're owning it. They're in their moment. They're not worried about what we're thinking of them. I'm assuming maybe they are, but they seem confident. They're kind of owning the stage and they're having a good time. So I look for that both in the room and on a tape. I can tell almost immediately if someone is scared S-less or whatever I can say.
Yeah, you can curse.
Okay.
You can curse. Yeah.
Shitless.
Yeah.
Okay. It's you can read it. You can pick up on it. There are cues and signs like just like in person. Someone's sweating or they're red or they're not breathing normally or they're not speaking normally. Like I am right now.
No, you're
being on
great.
spot. Okay.
No, you're doing great.
It's
man.
weird being on this side of it. But yeah, I think I'm looking for someone who's having a good time and therefore they're fun to watch, even if it is something dramatic. It's like they're engaged, they're connected, they're committed to their work, and they're not holding back. They're not like fearful. I'm looking for people that are willing to make choices, make bold choices, not for the sake of like getting my attention or someone else's attention, like by being loud or brash or obnoxious, but because it makes sense in the scene and they're willing to take a risk.
Yeah. I got to share with you something that happened to me in one of your producer sessions.
Oh, no.
No, it's good.
Oh, okay.
I took a choice, I took a bold choice, and it's one of those moments where, and I don't have anything, like, it was one of those things where when it was described why I did the choice, everybody in the room goes, oh, okay. So it was for...
Don't say the project. Can you mouth it to me?
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going into this person's house for the first time, and in my mind, I'm like, oh, this guy likes to be clean and neat. He comes from like an Asian background, like he likes Asian culture and everything. Okay. So he takes off his shoes before he comes in, and then at the end of it, the first thing one of the producers says is, goes, "Hey, why'd you take off your shoes?" And I go, "Oh, well, because of this, this, and this." Yeah. And then I see you go, "Yeah, yeah." See, and everybody's like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, "Woo!" The back sweat started coming in. I was
feeling it just hearing the story of the back sweat.
But I don't care that I just took a choice. Like, it made sense in the moment, and it is what it is. Like, and they're like, "Keep the shoes on for the next one." I'm like, "Okay." Yeah,
no, I encourage you to do that. I don't want to call it a mistake, but to make choices that sometimes don't work, because also, like, you could have walked into another room with another group of producers, done the same thing, and they would have been like, "Oh my God, that's genius. I didn't even think of that. Let's put that into the show." So if you are doing things to either try to impress or guess what we want, like, we're auditioning you. That's why we don't know what we want. We want you to kind of show us what we want. So I applaud you for taking that risk, for trying something different. And to that point, like, I will say there are certain people that come in for one show that just like bomb. The producers just like don't get them. But I'm like, I love this actor. I'm bringing them in for another show with another group of producers, and they love that actor. It is so subjective. It's based on the show, the tone, the style, the time, whatever it is. And you can't, if they hated that choice, I would hate to hear that what you got from that was like, I'm not going to take any more risks. That was that room. It was those producers, and I think what you did was great.
No, I've done.
I mean, not
things.
for that audition, but in general.
I've done some more interesting choices.
Oh, what's the worst thing you've done?
Oh God, I don't.
I'll tell you the worst thing that's happened to me if you tell me the worst thing you've done.
Sure, you go first.
I got French kissed by a woman who was in the scene. She was playing my wife. I was reading with her, and she was dying of cancer. And nowhere in the script did it say that she was supposed to kiss me. But I was so embarrassed and I didn't know what to do, so I just let it happen because she was like a working actress and I didn't want to like make her feel uncomfortable. This was before Me Too. So she kissed me. I had someone pull a knife on me up to my throat. What? I had someone light a joint in front of me. I had someone reach into my pants behind my belt buckle and pull me out of my chair.
What?
That's why I don't read with people anymore.
Hey man, I did nothing that crazy before, ever. Hey, you know what? That wasn't.
Oh, okay. Did I win the game?
You won.
Okay.
I was gonna say I did a horrible like British accent.
Oh well, that's bad too.
That was. I've never groped anybody.
Yeah.
That's so insane to me. Like, I like making bold choices, but there has to be some reasonable, red flags that come up for an artist. Like, hey, maybe you shouldn't like grab the casting director.
I would suggest not doing that. I think if you know the casting director and you're like, hey, I kind of have this out of the way idea. Do you mind if I try this? I would run it by them beforehand. I think in general, this is actually really great. COVID is really great for training for auditions because it's just about the kind of like chest and above the head. And that's what we're always fighting with actors to do in the room. They want to like run around the room and take off their shoes and do whatever they want to do. And we're just trying to get them into that box, basically, not to keep them still, but but a director is going to direct them.
Right.
There's going to be like a stunt choreographer who's going to teach them stunts or have someone come in and do the stunts for them. What we're looking for is literally shoulders and head. And if we can focus that, we're just focused on the performance. I don't care about costume, wardrobe, makeup, all that other stuff can be done on set.
Yeah.
And when someone comes in, with too much makeup on, or it looks like they spent too much time in their costume, I start to think, oh, they're more invested in how this character looks and in their idea of it. They're not going to be able to change. And we're looking for someone who can take direction, who can, a director can have their own vision on this actor and put their own makeup on that actor, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it does. When you were saying that, I just had a flash of something I put away. I talked about it on the show last time, way long ago. The one where I was a caveman, and I decided to go into the woods and shoot.
Oh no!
It was for Clan of the Caveman.
Oh, did you get it?
No.
There you go. We're not looking for cinematographers or directors. We just want an audition. I'm not saying that to be like cruel or mean. It's distracting, and anything that you think could distract someone from your performance, I guarantee you will distract them.
I wish I heard that right before I showed that.
No, now you know.
Yeah, now I know.
I don't even know that project. Like, did it even go?
I don't know. Actually, it was a remake off of like a 70s or 60s show where. So that the whole casting process. I mean, the part where you're watching the tapes. We just went over that. Now it's time for the producer sessions, which makes a lot of my actor friends in the past super nervous, or like it's a testing and stuff. What should actors, in your opinion, do or not do in those situations? Should they just come in with the same stuff they prepared before? Be prepared to play a little bit? I mean, what do you think?
Yes, I think both of those things. I actually worked with an actor recently on a pilot, and it really frustrated me because I had notes from the producers. We did a work session before he came back in for the test, and he took the notes. And then an hour later, I could tell he was really in his head. He was thinking about it. An hour later, he sent me, he had self-taped in that audition again and said I had some other thoughts, put on this crazy costume, and just did something completely different, which just was against sort of what the producer's notes were. And I told him, I said, look, I appreciate that you have these ideas, but I really want to guide you here and help you get this get this job, and this is what they're looking for, not what you did. And he's like, I totally hear you. I got it. I'll go back to what we did when I come back in for the test tomorrow. When the test came along, he came in and did something even more completely different with another outfit. And it just showed me, okay, this guy doesn't trust himself. He can't follow directions. He's scared, which is totally fine. All those things are normal, but he's not ready for this job. And I have to kind of be a little bit of an HR person, not just like who's the most talented or who's the most right for this role, but who can I trust in this process to put on set with the producer and these other actors for months, and who is going to listen and sort of like follow direction, so to speak. So we're not looking for puppets by any means, but if you did something right in an audition, you got a callback or a test, I would try to kind of mimic that as much as you can. You're never going to do the same performance again, obviously. And I don't think anyone wants to see that. They would like to see consistency, but not the same thing over and over again. And in terms of producers, one note I will tell you is producers are nervous. They want to do well. They want, they have money riding on this thing. The studio, the network has money riding on it. A lot of the producers have not worked together before. They're trying to be cool in front of each other. They're uncomfortable. They're nervous. I've talked about this before, where I had a producer in a session turn to me and say, so when the actor comes in, should I look at them? And I was like, where else would you look? And they said, well, I don't want to make them feel nervous or uncomfortable. I'm like, if you do not look at the actor, I promise you'll make them nervous and uncomfortable. But like some of these people have the best of intentions, but they're writers used to being in writers' rooms, or they're business executives. They're not used to being around talent. And so I guarantee you, they are just as nervous as you are, and they're just trying to figure this out. They're bringing you in because they want to find a solution to a problem. They're not trying to test you or scare you. It is scary. It is a test, but that's not the intention. It's not to like make you fuck up by any means.
Right. See, that's why I want in person again. I love that experience, and I think it does sift out something. I've had some producer friends who've talked about they want that in person again because they've had trouble with certain actors. Whenever they get on set, they get really nervous. Sure. And the pressure mounts. And the stuff you said about the producers wanting you to do good and everything, I'm so glad I adopted that early on, and that realization hit, knowing that they're not against me. They want you to. They need you to do good because that would make their job a lot easier. Yeah, absolutely. And that excitement of coming in, and also, man, you guys don't get enough credit in the cast, like in entertainment. You guys need your own. Have they done the awards thing yet for casting directors? Because you guys need those. There are Emmy Awards. There are not Oscars. And then Casting Society of America does have like an award show every year. Okay. Which is great. And it's really heartwarming because actors get up and give the awards to the casting directors and give a speech. And you hear how much some casting directors have affected actors' lives and careers, and how much it means to them. And how much actors mean to us. I mean, we're all rooting for each other. Yeah. It's like, if you do well, I do well. It's, I just got jealous. I did too, because it's like that, and this is going to be the weirdest analogy. I don't care. I'm going to say it. Go for it. It's like that nice parent, you know, that heartwarming parent that encourages you and wants you to do good and roots for you. Like, that's what it feels like in relationship with us, because it's sometimes it feels like a cold business, and that, you know, you don't, it's just a cold business. And so having you guys there, like that it's just really nice, man. I don't know how else to describe it. So. No, I'm glad you feel that, because that's our purpose in some ways. And in some ways there is like this weird parent-child relationship too, where like I see you doing well and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so proud of him. Like, I had nothing to do with it, but like, it just, I know how hard you work, and I see how hard you work when you come in for me. So to know that like other people are seeing that, and that you're getting benefits from that, is like, that's amazing. That's thrilling. Yeah. And also, like, I realized I want to make you guys look good too, because that's like a casting director continuously brings you in, and then you go in and you're like, oh, I didn't come in prepared. That will never happen. Like, that's such a nightmare scenario in my mind that I'm like, I can't do that. That's so unacceptable in my book. It. Yeah. But I've had casting directors tell me something similar. It sounds like I'm bragging right now. Yeah, casting directors all tell me I'm unprepared. No, I've had them tell me, because they have had so many actors come in unprepared, especially for the in-person sessions. Yeah. That blows my mind. I don't know how you can go into a room and not be prepared. Yeah. It happens more than you would think. It's disappointing. It's really disappointing. And I'm curious to see sort of how COVID changes the way we do casting post-COVID, because we're not doing as many producer sessions. You know, producers are seeing just a ton of tapes, and then we're narrowing it down, and then we're maybe doing like 5 to 10 people at most per producer session callbacks after they've seen those tapes, as opposed to 20 to 25 live, sessions. Wow. And I totally lost my train of thought. No, it's okay. Okay. This is the show, by the way. We just Okay. I'll get back to this. I've had a good, like, a handful of Zoom producer sessions, and they've gone fine. But I'm always like, this is so weird from the actor's perspective. Luckily, I have a giant iMac, and I can prop it up on stuff. Yeah. And so I can enlarge whoever I'm reading with, so it seems like they're there. But that cadence of having somebody in the room is so special, in my opinion, that I'm like, I really hope we go back into those rooms, because I especially for comedy, it's hard to like nail those things. That must be impossible. I don't know how you guys do that. I don't do a lot of comedies, but the drama's a little easier. Like but I don't know. I hope the producers who are watching at least are aware or acknowledge or feel like, okay, that joke could have worked.
It was live.
The internet's not laggy.
The worst is when someone's internet goes out or their Wi-Fi goes out, and then the producers look to me and they're like, David, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know how to, like, I'm a casting director. I don't know how to use Zoom. You know, like, I'm learning like everybody else. So I think there is some understanding that we're all kind of figuring this out together. It's a new format. It's, yeah.
Did you cast the pilot You?
I cast the pilot and seasons 2 and 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
You is one of the best pilots I have seen, in my opinion, overall.
Thank you.
Fired. No, can you imagine if I just snapped? You good? Yeah. Okay, cool. I remember watching that first opening sequence.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, back to the beginning of our conversation, we're like, how can you tell if something's like, if somebody's good or not?
Yeah.
It was one of those things where I was like, oh shit, this is actually going to be really good. I have a feeling. And then it just progressively got better and better. And the way you care for someone you're not supposed to care about.
I know. Yep. And that's in the writing too. I credit Greg Berlanti and Sarah Gamble for that, because it's incredible. Like, even in season 3, I'm still rooting for him.
Right?
Yeah.
I haven't started season 3, but I saw the trailer.
I can't
for
talk about the shows too much, but like,
what? That's why we brought you on? No, I'm kidding. I know that.
But
yeah,
it's great. Yeah.
Now, when you're doing the world of superheroes, that's an interesting tone to juggle, because there's still groundedness in the acting, but there's a stylized sensation to it as well. So do you feel like you help the actors get there, or do the actors come in with it, or does the writing kind of facilitate all that?
I think the writing helps, but I would strongly encourage actors to, if they can, watch an episode of the show, or even a couple of clips of the show, because something like DC's Legends of Tomorrow is so different from Doom Patrol, which is so different from The Flash, which is so different from, you know, on and on and on. They're all kind of different. They're on different networks. And if you kind of go into it thinking, oh, this is a superhero thing, I'm going to play it this way, you may get it wrong. And it could be just a very easy adjustment of just watching even the trailer for the show to kind of get a sense of the tone. If it's a pilot and there obviously isn't a trailer out for it yet, I would ask, either ask your agent or ask the casting director or casting assistant and say, like, what is the tone of this? What would you describe it as if it's not clear to you in the sides? Because it can be a little bit confusing. And I think 9 times out of 10, what our producers are looking for is for the actor to ground the material. I mean, there can be some ridiculous stuff where there's like laser beams shooting out of your eye and you're flying, and I don't even know how I would play that. But I would say, you know, less is more. Don't do any of the stunts. Don't do any of the action. And find out what's actually going on in the scene. Is it a scene between a guy who was wronged by another guy and he's angry at him? Focus on what's actually happening, as opposed to like the physicalness of like, I'm shooting laser beams out of my eye and I'm going to kill you. Right. That can be done in post. We're looking for like real performances. We're looking for, as much as possible, we're looking, you know, in general for a connection to a real human emotion.
This happens rarely. Sometimes there is some physical things, right? But I believe I was helping out, maybe you, William, or somebody, but it was like the character falls down the stairs. And they're like, what should I do? I'm like, well, don't fall down the stairs. Like, we can't shoot that. Right. That's the first thing. We're not doing that. Like, there's no way. But there is that essence of, what do you feel like after you fell down?
Yes.
Does that work?
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And also take a beat to fall down the stairs. Like, you can just kind of like, maybe I just shrugged my shoulder. I'm not an actor. I don't know what I'm doing, but I was feeling it in the moment.
David, wow.
So I made a choice. But you want to switch seats? But I think you can like take a beat, even if it's like a kiss or something. It would be weird if you started like kissing the screen or kissing your hand. I think that, to me, that's kind of weird in audition. But you can take a beat to maybe kind of like close your eyes. And then what's your reaction after the kiss? Like, what does that glow look like? That's something to think about.
Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
It's that essence of the afterwards, the beat. Like that,
yes.
that to me is where I can grasp onto from an actor's point of view. This is so good. I'm so glad you came on. I love talking shop like this.
Have you had other casting directors on?
No, your first one.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's exciting. We've had other directors and producers
Yeah.
and their experience with the casting process, but not a casting director. Yeah.
There are some casting directors that aren't as nice. I understand what you're saying. I don't want to like sugarcoat it and have people walk into rooms and think they're all going to be taken care of, because there are some rooms where it's tense. Like TV is really difficult, especially like I said, like you have 3 days to cast an episode.
Yeah.
And sometimes you walk in expecting a hug, and that casting director, not my office, but some casting directors will be like, hit the mark, say your lines, and get out of here. And it's not because they don't like you or they don't want you to succeed. It's because they don't have time and they need to cast 15 roles by 8 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
So it can be tough and intimidating, but yeah, that's it.
No, I think it's important to know your
point.
place
Yes.
as well. It's nothing personal.
Nothing
And if
personal.
you're going in for a co-star,
Yep.
be aware that there's 30 other people in the waiting room. Or
Absolutely.
So just go in there and say, I think he's over there. And,
Yeah.
you're not chit-chatting in between.
No, because
too
we're
much.
looking for someone who like that can actually hit the mark and go. I mean, one of the hardest things is, I hate to say, is like getting people to leave the room. I know actors want to show that they can do everything. They want to do it in an accent. They want to do it facing this way, facing that way. And sometimes I just want them to hit the mark, say the line for a co-star, and go. And it's I feel bad pushing anyone out of a room, but we have, we want to see as many people as possible, especially for the co-star roles. They're really, really difficult roles, and it's a timing thing and it's a numbers thing. So if we spend a lot of time chatting in there with you, we're not going to have that time to read, several other people. So just keep that in mind.
I've been lucky. I think there's been one bad casting experience in my life, and I'll tell you this afterwards because I'm not going to talk it on the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But you survived.
I survived. I guess I could say the experience and not the name.
Don't say the name. Yeah.
Yeah, I can say the name.
Okay.
So it was a win for me at the end, but I'll Tarantino it. Anyway, so I'm done with the scene, and he says, you like to put buttons on scenes, don't you? And I go, yeah. And then there's this weird vibe in the room, and I go, you don't like that, do you? And he goes, well, no, if it works, then, you just got to be careful and everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why'd you say something that? Like, in my mind,
right.
I'm like, why did you say something? And then I felt really bad for making that choice.
Oh.
And it made, it hurt my feelings. And I'm like, wait a minute, why'd you bring that up then? If you said it works, then.
Right.
And so that was it. And I was walking off the lot. And as I was walking away, I was on the lot. I looked like a crazy person. I was really upset that he said that. And I was like cursing out loud. And I was like, I'm done. I was doing one of those things. However, a couple years later, he brings me in for another audition, and it was a producer session, and so that was my little win. He did. I don't think he remembered that moment, but maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
It's okay to it's okay to not do to disappoint someone or do something that someone doesn't like. You're not going to please everyone, and not everyone's going to like you. That doesn't mean that you're bad.
Yeah.
You're not going to be everyone's flavor, and that's okay. You just have to kind of keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going and believe in yourself, which you did.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. After my cursing rant on
that's okay.
CBS lot, it's fine. Okay, so the casting process has happened, and let's say you're working with maybe some finicky directors or producers like, we don't like any of them.
Yeah.
You have to go back to square one, or is there a conversation that takes place?
Sometimes we'll go back to square one, and in addition, what I like to do, which another casting director told me a while ago, was go back and see what you might have missed, because as a good casting director, there's a chance you saw a lot of really good people, but you didn't really know exactly what you were looking for at the beginning. So now with these new notes, with whatever you have, whatever direction you have, go back and see who came in at the beginning, and maybe you missed someone. It's worth revisiting people. And I have cast so many people that I have missed at the beginning. Either they didn't make it through my cut because I just didn't think they were right initially, or the directors, or producers said no to them because it wasn't what they were looking for in the moment. Casting is an evolving process. Like we sometimes think we're looking for one thing, and we end up casting another thing. It's a living, breathing thing in so many ways, I would say.
Right. So then, how does this happen whenever you are casting somebody? Let's say, do the producers convey on their own and go, okay, cool, we like Jeremy for this role, and do you pin their second choice as well, or how does that does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. It's because it isn't let me just think for a second. I would I would safely pin their first choice and their second choice. Sometimes the first choice becomes unavailable or passes, or you can't make a deal with them. So I would, in terms of pinning, yes. I think if you get pinned, it means you're in the mix. It doesn't necessarily mean you're the choice. And sometimes the second choice becomes the first choice because a producer who was out of town and wasn't able to watch the tape wasn't able to weigh in until they watched it, and they have more pull. They're like, actually, I like this guy better. So it does change, and sometimes you send some things to the studio and they don't respond to anyone, and they want you to kind of go back again too. It's a process.
Yeah.
I need a vacation.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. By the way, I've seen some of your previous vacation photos. They look amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
We need more of those.
I do need more of that.
How many shows are you working on right now?
I don't know. I really don't know. Well, because they're in a lot of,
right.
they're.
Do you want the champagne? It's still available.
I might. No, it's a knock on wood. It's been busy, and we have a lot of shows in various stages of, pilots versus shows that are recurring, that are on air, and it's busy.
How do you stay, going back to the fact that you are working on so many shows, how do you keep your sanity then with everything that you have to do? Because I'm working, thank God, I'm working on 3 shows right now, which is amazing.
Yeah.
But I realized
that's huge.
Yes,
That's
is huge.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah. I need to find time to recharge, or else I can't deliver properly.
Yeah.
So how do you find that time?
I have to make that time. I have to set boundaries, and it's difficult. I have to, like everyone else, turn my phone off at a certain point, get a certain amount of sleep, work out, eat right. I feel I'm not an athlete by any means, but I feel like as close to an athlete as possible, where I have to follow a routine, because I know if I don't, I won't be able to do my job, and I won't be a good friend or partner or business person. And I have to find balance. Like, I really try to find balance, especially at nights and on the weekends. I love going out to dinner. I just started playing tennis. My whole life isn't just TV and film. I love it, and I love what I do, and I do still watch TV to kind of relax, but it can't be everything for me. I would lose myself, and I have seen other people in the business lose themselves, lose their relationships with their spouses, with their children, and it's, I make an effort to go to lunch every day if I can. There are some days where it's impossible. There's too much stuff going on, and I would fall behind, and I'd be too stressed out. But I work so that I can go to lunch, and enjoy it. Because otherwise, what's the point if you're not enjoying it?
Right.
If it becomes too much, then it's, no one's happy. And I really pride myself on making a really happy, safe office, both for actors and for my employees too.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me enjoy the vacation that much more too. Whenever
I thought you meant my vacation.
Oh, your vacation. Yeah, I just like watching your stories. And I'm glad he's having a good
time. Well, that's good too. Yeah.
Oh man. So they find their choice.
Mm-hmm.
They send it out, and you go, okay, we want Jeremy for this.
Yep.
And then usually, if I'm not mistaken, if it's like a guest spot, it's usually scale, right?
Yeah,
or if there's
usually.
Sometimes there's a negotiation that happens, correct?
Exactly.
And that negotiation, which I found early on in my career, I'm like, oh, that happens with the casting director, which I never knew about.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, every guest star role, every co-star role happens with a casting director. The negotiation happens with the casting director. For series regulars, business affairs usually handles those deals, but they are guided by casting directors. And what's weird is when you read on Deadline, so-and-so booked a job, they're represented by whichever agency and lawyer. They never say who they negotiated the deal with. They just say who who represents them, which is really interesting because there is someone on the other end that represented the studio, whether it be the casting director or business affairs person who did that deal. So we are also business people in that sense, negotiating deals, which is kind of wild if you think about it.
Yeah.
Because we're also reading with you sometimes in the room and giving you direction. We do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, that's the part that blows my mind. It's like a completely different job almost.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, we're given a budget, and we work with a line producer, and we talk about how much we can spend and if we can go over. And, it's that takes a lot of time, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where in your job do you find the most creative freedom?
Do I find the most creative freedom? I think working with actors. I really miss it. I miss discovering these characters with people. Again, like I said, we're casting the role because we don't know what we're looking for. Otherwise, we would just make a straight offer. So there's something really exciting about being in the room with an actor and saying, okay, let's figure this out together. Like, I think it's this. What do you think? And trying different things and reading the scene over and over again and directing actors. And I certainly have like a point of view based on my conversations with the director and producers. But I'm open to actors showing me something too. And it's kind of limitless. I mean, like, as you know, as an actor, you could do one scene 50 million different times. So part of my job is also to make sure we don't do it 50 million times and try to really focus it and find what feels most right or most interesting. But that would be the most creative part of my job for sure.
I feel you on some of those self-tapes. Some self-tapes, I'm like, oh, this is where the scene lives.
Right.
Cool. I'll give them this take because solid, everything, I'm happy with it. And then other times, God bless my friends who have been there with me during this moment where I'm like, we're going to do it again and again and again.
Yep.
And again and again. And I remember a camera roll on my phone once. It was just take after take.
Yeah.
Because, and here's the issue with it. Usually for those, I can't find the tone. It's a secret project and it's just secret enough where they're giving you a little bit of the information, but it's so vague that I'm like, well,
yeah,
this is a Wesam version for this. This is the best this is another Wesam version, and this is another one, and well, this is another one. Well, which one? Like it, and then I start looking at, okay, what have I gone in for this casting director before? Okay, it's mostly darker type of roles. Maybe I'll choose. Okay, now I've got this chunk here, or these producers have done mostly these type of films, but then sometimes they're all over the place. So it's a very like, I'm piecing puzzle pieces together that I hope fit together in the end. And I'm sure other actors feel the same way.
I feel for you.
Yeah.
That's going to be, that's going to be really difficult. And especially now with everything getting out, a lot more shows that shouldn't have NDAs are requiring NDAs, or they're not giving out scripts because they just don't want the material to get out there. So it's kind of leaving actors in the dark. All I can say is, like with any choice, just go with your gut, make a choice, do it, and walk away from it. Because really, at the end of the day, it is about so many other things than how you read that one line.
Yeah.
You could look too much like someone's brother who they hate, or you could look so much like their brother who they love, and that's why you get the job. Like, who knows, honestly? Sometimes it's something as simple as that.
Awesome. Listen, we got to, I don't know where that accent came from. I can barely talk. We're done with the live portion on Adobe Radio. So thank you for those who have tuned in live. The show continues on. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and you can listen to the full episode in just a couple hours. And also you can listen to it on Spotify. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure you search Wesam's World and follow David Rapaport. Is it just Rapaport Casting or David Rapaport?
Oh, like on Instagram?
Yeah.
I think
we'll pull it up right now.
Okay, I think
we've got 3 producers in here.
I think it's David Rapaport. It's just Rapaport. It might be Mr. Rapaport. I honestly don't know.
Mr. Rapaport.
It might be, yeah. But no double P's if that helps.
Okay, no double P's.
I think there's a picture of you on my site.
Is there?
No, not of you. Of the TV show you.
Of you. Bro, I was like, well, thank you. I didn't know. I am your favorite actor. It is Mr.
It's Mr. Rapaport.
Mr. Rapaport.
Okay, thank you.
Make sure you.
Also, that's actually no. That's your name, but it's at David Rapaport.
Okay, great.
That's why it's confusing.
That's why it's confusing.
Okay, so at David Rapaport. Thank you.
So far, this has been a lot of fun. I hope you're having a good time.
I'm having a great time. I hope I didn't ruin your career tonight.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? No, I love these type of conversations because they're with amazing people that I respect greatly, and also this is just as fun as I want it to be, and also sharing this knowledge is so critical. Like, oh my gosh, David, it blows my mind how I've been lucky to talk to some like acting classes and how they just don't know the business side or like what proper etiquette is in audition rooms,
They don't teach the business of acting. They don't teach auditions, I don't think. I want to do a class on like auditioning for co-stars because I think those are the hardest things ever. I don't know as an actor how you do walk into a room, say the line twice and leave. Like I would lose my mind. If you go to school for 4 years to study acting and you're learning monologues and you're learning all these scenes and you're given one line and you walk in and you walk out, like, I would lose my mind too. I totally get that. That's just not fair. But that is a skill, that is a muscle, that is what is expected. And we expect you to show up on time when we're in person, have a picture and resume stapled, not ask for the stapler from the casting director when you get into the room. Like, have your bag, have all your things collected. I have people come in, they put their bag down, they take their, iPods out, their whatever, their phone, their this, they turn it off. I'm like, you were waiting in the waiting room for 20 minutes. Prepare yourself to come into the room by having everything off, the same way that I would if I were going into any sort of meeting. This should be a very quick thing. Unfortunately, it's difficult to kind of swallow that, but it should just be like a 2 to 3 minute thing where you come in, you say hello, you slate, you do the scene, and you walk out. But I understand, but it's difficult to watch actors really struggle with that. They want to take up as much time and as much space as possible, but we're also not looking for that when we're looking for co-stars. We're looking for people who aren't going to get in the way, who aren't going to take up time, who aren't going to pull attention from the other actors. They're there to support the scene. They're more supporting actors. When you come in for a guest star or a series regular, it is more about you. That's why you have more material and more time to spend in front of the camera. Not more time to unpack your bags, but more time to be in front of the camera. But you have to work your way up to that. And you have to kind of master that process of co-star auditions as well.
I think you nailed it on the head. Also, newsflash for people who haven't worked in TV, it's not a slow, casual process.
Yeah.
It's so fast-paced. Sometimes you only get one take for a shot.
Yeah.
And you got to move on. Yeah. And you got to make sure you hit your mark. So if you're having trouble with that in the room, here's what I suggest. This is what me and my buddy Isaiah Adams did in 2016, and I told him, hey, we need to meet up every Sunday and just give each other cold scenes and just read them.
That's genius.
Do them a bunch of different ways that don't even make sense for the characters. Yep. And okay, cool. I'm going to do this one sitting down, and I know I'm supposed to be your friendly boss, but he's going to be an asshole. And he's like, cool. And then sometimes I won't even tell him. I'm like, I'm just going to give you something different. Yeah. And he's like, cool. And I'll do the same. And he'll do the same. And then we'll just do it here, there. And then an hour goes by. We're like, cool. And then we talk shop. We see what we noticed and learned. We did that for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. And then both of us noticed huge bookings.
I bet. I'm not surprised. That's brilliant.
And because we went into the rooms after that, we were like, oh, you could tell us to do it any way you want. We're fine. We do this every week. And I think that could help in that co-star class. Like, hey, just do it like this. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's preparation. That's what you're talking about. And it's just it's about going in and taking direction and having fun and not being afraid. Because we can smell fear.
Yeah.
And look, I get scared too, but you fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
I'm still faking it a little bit.
Well, you're doing a great job faking it.
Back at you. Well, not that you said that you were faking it, but
no, you know your stuff, man. It's obvious that you know your stuff because of also because how successful the shows you work on are too. The actors and the way they connect with the audiences is huge.
Yeah,
I bet that feels great.
I love it. I love it. I love pop culture in general, and I love to kind of see our shows talked about on podcasts or on other TV shows or in magazines. It's exciting. It's exciting to be part of like the zeitgeist, and a lot of these shows are. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Do you ever watch other projects and think about the casting process with that? Because that's me as an actor. I'm always like, oh, dude, I wonder what filming that was like, or oh, that must have been interesting, or I bet that was one of the sides they auditioned. Like for sure that's one of the sides they got for the audition.
Do you find it hard then to watch TV and film and take yourself out of it because you know how it's made?
Yeah, I'm too selfish like that.
Yeah,
and I don't know if I'm debating my words. I think I'm gonna say it just because it's how I see acting. When I see a really good actor performing something, it's not that I'm jealous or I wish him ill will or her ill will that they're in the role, but I'm like, oh, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to do that, and I want to do it my way. And to practice acting, I will act with my computer screen, and scenes and I'll play the role that
Yeah.
I want to and just kind of practice that whenever I don't have stuff to do.
Oh.
And so I look like a crazy person. Yeah.
Who
but
cares? Yeah.
I found results from it, and I like
Yeah.
doing that since, sometimes it's hard to find somebody to act with, or sometimes I just want to do it on my own, like scenes
Yeah.
from The Godfather and stuff like that.
Why
Like,
not? That's great.
so
That's great.
yeah, it's hard for me to completely suspend my disbelief. I'm trying to find the last show I watched or movie that I was able to suspend my disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sometimes I'll go into, like, I'm excited to see the new James Bond film.
Me too.
I want to go on a, like, I just want to, I want to enjoy myself, so I can just enjoy it. But then sometimes I'm like, is there like a 008 maybe I can audition for? No. Yeah.
No, there are some times where, I think that's a perfect example where I think we're all kind of having fun. We know Daniel Craig's done with James Bond, so we're like, oh, who would be great to like take his place? Everyone's kind of talking about it. Everyone's acting as a producer, a casting director, coming up with ideas, that's the joy of it. That's the fun of it. That's the creative part of it. And I think sometimes I will do that. I'll think about, if they were going to remake this movie, who would I cast? Or if they were going to turn this Broadway play into a movie, who would I cast? And it sounds really fucking lame, but that's how my mind works, and that's kind of how I pass some time too.
Yeah, I don't think it's lame. It's just we're all in the industry.
I guess so. Yeah.
Do you before COVID, obviously, but did you see like theater plays or musicals?
Yeah, all the time. I actually just went back to New York last week for the first time in 2 years to see some friends and see some shows, and I miss being in the theater. I miss even being in a movie theater. I just miss the energy of an audience. Yeah. It's incredible. I'm really hoping I can see more theater out in LA sooner than later. I did see some stuff here, but I'm kind of picky and choosy right now. I'm just going to places that allow or that ask for vaccines and stuff because it seems like that's safe, but I don't know.
I don't know what the rules and regulations are going to be like, and when it's going to be over. Question mark?
I don't either. I don't know when we're going to go back into the office. I don't know when we're going to have live sessions. I don't know that anyone does. Yeah. I think it's kind of up in the air. So we're all just doing the best that we can right now. I'm
not anti-vaccine, but some of the rules and regulations seem interesting on set sometimes when you're allowed to. Yeah, with you got to rehearse or with the mask and then shoot without it.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Can I please take it off because I have to see what they're going to do?
Right.
Otherwise, it'd make my job a little easier.
Right. Yeah.
So it's stuff like that where I'm like, can't wait till.
Yeah.
It's a little.
No,
bit.
we're all there. I think.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? We haven't done this in years. I think this was the first year my brother came into town. But I like going to Fringe Festival just to see I either like really good theater or really bad theater.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll be in the back, kind of like, this is terrible.
Oh.
Now I sound like a mean person for saying that, but I enjoy.
Yeah.
I don't know the uncomfortableness of it. Does
Really?
that make sense? Yeah.
I hear you. I find every show I've been to for me like an opportunity to even discover someone. I went. There was one year I ended up going to. I love musical theater, and there wasn't anything playing that I wanted to see except for in local community productions. And I literally went to a veterans hall to see a production of Heathers, the musical.
Okay.
Because I loved the show.
Yeah.
And there was this one young girl in it who was so incredible. And I'm like, oh my God, why aren't you being seen? You should be seen in LA and be auditioning for other things. And I helped her out a little bit, and hopefully she's doing well. Awesome. I haven't followed her career since then, but it was exciting. You never know where you're going to discover talent. So for me, it's I would see theater, and I would hope that even if the production wasn't great, I would get something out of it at least professionally, where I could say, okay, you know what, I saw someone that I want to pluck from there and kind of put into something else maybe.
Right. I could see that. I just imagine just being on stage with them and be like, oh, this dead air feels so. I don't know why. I love cringe things.
Really?
It's just so real.
I hate candid camera stuff. Whenever anyone's uncomfortable, it makes me really uncomfortable. You love it?
Because it's so real.
No, it's terrible. I think it's terrible.
Before we go, and if you don't have any stories or any stories that you'd like to share, that's fine. But are there any? I love bad audition stories, and I know we heard a little bit from them before. But is there anything specific that you could share with us?
I can tell you weird auditions. First of all, I want to say, and this may sound really cheesy, but I give so much credit to every actor that comes in that room. even if it's a good audition or a bad audition, like the fact that they got up and out of the house and are willing to do that in front of us is so incredibly hard. I couldn't do it. So I just like give you guys so much credit. So that's incredible that you do that. But yes, some people come in and make some weird choices. And the two that are sticking out in my mind, one was a guy who came in with a art easel with his lines on the easel, and he was wearing sunglasses. And this was like a working actor that you maybe you had seen before, maybe not. And
wait, I'm sorry. He came in with an easel.
With an easel, and as he was reading the lines, he would turn like the page of the easel over, and not take off his sunglasses. And so he did it once, and then I had to say, okay, let's try it one more time without your sunglasses because I want to see your eyes. And I don't care if you get the lines wrong. Just let's put the easel to the side because it's kind of distracting. And he disagreed, and he wanted to keep the sunglasses on, and he wanted to use the easel. So that to me was, that was a red flag right there. And he did not get the part. He did not get a callback. And I haven't seen him since. And that's to me, that's unprofessional. That's just weird. But I did have a girl one time who
I'm sorry. You're like glazing over this like it's like a Tuesday or something.
Well, I mean, I see it all the time.
That's so like I looked at their faces. They're both like,
yeah,
that's so absurd and uncomfortable. Like,
yeah,
hey, that's disrespectful also to a certain degree.
It is. I think especially like the eyes thing is weird. Like I want to see your eyes if you're auditioning for a role on a TV show, you know? The character didn't have sunglasses on. It wasn't like that kind of thing. Yeah. That was a choice that just didn't really make sense. And when we allowed him to do it and then said, can we do it without that? And he didn't take the direction or the note, then it was like, okay, we're going to move on.
Yeah.
But on the other end, I had a girl who did a great audition, and she was leaving. And if I remember this correctly, she bent down to pick up her bag, and I don't remember how this happened, but she basically got like the hoop of her earring stuck in like the part of the chair that folded, and she literally like pulled the chair off the ground in her earring, and she was like, oh my god, oh shit, and she's freaking out, and she's walking around in front of us with a chair dangling from her head, and then somehow the chair got like entangled into her bag. And it was like, and I just saw this poor girl running back and forth in front of me, and there was like nothing I could do because she was so panicked. And like she finally, I guess, took the earring out, and the bag came off and the chair came off, and it was just one of those things that was like, we all just sat there without saying anything until she left, and then we all, of course, we had to like let it out in a little bit of a laugh. But I felt terrible for her because the audition was great, but it was just, life happens. Shit happens sometimes. Yeah, it was.
That is my favorite all-time audition story right there.
It's a weird room, like weird things happen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me, I'm going to think about that before bed tonight and just, oh man.
If you can go into an audition and have that not happen, then just, you were like 10 times better than.
You're such a good soul. You're such a, like a nice, like the nice parent, the encouraging, you really are.
Thanks.
You have such a good heart.
Thanks.
I can really sense that.
Back at you. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't
know, actually, after you said that thing about laughing at people in theater.
Listen.
Do you laugh when people fall? I do, actually. I laugh when people fall. That's one thing I like watching on YouTube. Like, not if they get hurt.
Right. No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Not seriously. Well, death. Like, if I don't want them to die or like seriously
They can
injured.
have a bruise or something. Like.
Yeah. If they're, if they scream weird, I'm laughing. Like that to me is just one of the best things in the world.
Oh my God.
Oh, David, this was so much fun, man.
Is this what that was supposed to be about?
This was amazing.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This is just a plethora of knowledge, and especially coming from you and all your experience. And we hit on so many things. And I really hope you teach that co-star acting
class.
Yeah, I think that's going to be so beneficial. Are you allowed to do workshops still or can you teach an acting class?
I don't know. We'll see. Certainly after COVID, we'll see what kind of opportunities are out there too. So I don't know.
Because the whole casting director workshop thing. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
I know for educational purposes it's different. So there are times I've talked with schools, but I'm not sure about workshops anymore.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Such an interesting gray area. I have my thoughts on it. We'll
I
save
do
it for
too,
another
yeah.
episode because, yeah.
But I appreciate the opportunity to talk about all this stuff too, because like you said, I feel like a lot of people don't really know or understand what casting directors do.
Yeah.
And so to give me this sort of platform to talk about it, I think hopefully will like demystify it for a lot of people and see how not scary we are.
Yeah.
We're not against you guys at all.
No.
Clearly.
No.
Well, I guess you should say that. I shouldn't say that.
You guys are definitely not against
Okay.
us. You
Clearly.
guys, yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
Thanks again, brother. I really appreciate
My
you.
pleasure. Thank you.
Peyton, can you play us out? Do we have music this time? No music. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the show. I really appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed the show, simple share goes a long way. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and also the little bell icon to get notifications. Really appreciate you always for tuning in. Thank you for David coming in. Follow him at David Rapaport on Instagram. You can see all their casting news updates. And if you enjoy the show, send him some love as well. Make sure you tag us. And always remember to listen, think, and then talk. Bye.
Great. I forgot to listen.